expect a growth rate of 6%. We expect in terms of GDP, our revenues to remain at about 18% of GDP. Our expenditure is about 18.5% of GDP. So we expect our deficit again to remain, within the 1% realm in terms of percent of GDP, but certainly lower than the 3% target. Again, we don't expect a runaway fiscal position in 2025. So we're pleased that our macro framework is showing this. But really going forward in 2025, we expect a budget that will be stimulative of the economy, because this year we've been under pressure because of the El Nino-induced drought. We expect to improve tax administration and also to strengthen revenue inflows from some key areas. But in terms of priorities, we expect, as I said, to build resilience in order to deepen economic transformation. And we will focus on the 14 pillars that we've defined in NDS1, which have to do with, again, maintaining macroeconomic stability as a precondition for economic growth, supporting demand for local currency, making sure that our tax regime supports demand for local currency in terms of what government demands to be paid in ZiG, and then making sure we continue to invest in infrastructure, in roads, in the water sector, dams, the power sector, again crowding in the private sector wherever we can in terms of public-private partnership. We will support again the agricultural sector, supporting the resilience agenda, buying insurance to support our farmers, to support the vulnerable, make sure that our program for supporting vulnerable is robust in terms of social protection. All of that is building resilience. Support our image building exercise and the resolution of our debts. Support the mining sector. But as I said, focusing on beneficiation is what will strengthen our resilience. So our budget is going in that direction. I'm confident that from these discussions, this retreat will come up with some very good proposals to support our growth going forward. Interest rates from abroad, it means that we ought to then find ways to restructure our debts through proposals in the budget, but also we need to then increase domestic resource mobilization so that we rely less on borrowed international capital. So our budget needs to focus on domestic resource mobilization. But looking at the performance of the economy overall, the economy is showing resilience. It's been under pressure from the drought that was induced by El Nino, but it's showing resilience, growing at 2%, and the situation is pretty commendable. We expect growth to bounce back next year to 6% in terms of GDP growth. Again, we expect Zimbabwe to again grow faster than most of its peers in the region. And this has to do with the performance of agriculture, maize crop, cotton crop, groundnuts, and so forth. We expect a recovery, and also in the tobacco sector. If looking at the various sectors, we've seen falling commodity prices. When they're looking at prices of palladium, of rhodium, lithium hydroxide, nickel prices, spherical prices, all these prices have been under pressure. In a sense, therefore, while exports have been growing, it's mainly the work is being done mainly by the gold sector. The gold sector is doing all the heavy lifting, but of course, other commodities are under pressure. It means that then we have to focus on beneficiation, to maximize the benefit on our minerals. So the budget should again to build this resilience from commodity price pressures, but support beneficiation, the participation of local communities in their own natural resource endowments. The budget must speak to all of this. Now, looking at the budget performance so far, actually this is one of our best years in terms of budget performance this time of the year. We're seeing a budget utilization of about 75% at the end of September. We're now in October. I'm confident that by year end we'll be as close to 100% as possible. Of course, the budget performance has been uneven in the sense that some ministries have performed much more than others in terms of utilization. For example, the Minister of Transport, the Minister of Agriculture, for example, also the President Cabinet and other ministries have done better than others in utilization. Some of them have even overused their budgets, and others have not done as well. So variable budget utilizations. Some of it has to do with maybe the cash constraints. Some of it has to do with just low absorptive capacity. But of course, as government, we always try to take measures to improve the absorptive capacity of various ministries. But we feel that we're on target in terms of our budget deficit target. We feel that we'll be able to meet the 3% budget deficit in terms of ratio to GDP by year end. There's no risk that we'll overshoot that. But also what has been a surprise to us is how the economy has performed. When you look at the growth in exports versus imports, the increase in remittances, currently we're looking at 2.5 billion inflows in remittances. When you take into account the export receipts, remittances and other inflows, compared to the outflows in terms of imports and other payments, we are sitting in a positive position. Initially, we're estimating, it's called the current account position of about 45 million or so, but now we think that it will be over 100 million. So again, means that we've maintained our very strong record in maintaining a positive balance on our current account, and that is really commendable for any country in Africa or even around the world. So we're very pleased with that position.